All right, we're live, and this is Theo Michael, and you're not looking at Theo Michael. I'm behind the camera. Just wanted to do something a little different today. Wonderful time at MegaCon 2 weeks ago, and just came from Lake Collectathon, in uh, the mall over in the Lakeview Mall. So it's a really fun environment when you go to conventions, but you there's a lot of setup. So when you're going to conventions, a lot of times, a lot of us that are not in the industry, we we have to save up cash. We have to work extra hours and set up for vacation and stuff like that. So in my case, I ended up picking up several shifts to allow me to take off the time for the MegaCon convention, which I had a great time. Even had to go and meet with my cousin Brian. So a fun time, very fun time. But afterwards, what happens? So I wanted to share some of the things I've collected over the years from the conventions and talk about that a little bit. I know at MegaCon, humongous turnout. I think we broke records, and one of the things that was troublesome was the parking. I had to do a lot of walking. I'm not in the best of shape, and I'm working to rectify that because I'm realizing that it's going to need I'm need to get back into a little bit better shape, especially if I'm going to be going to continue doing megacons and conventions and things of that nature. So, and hold on, test. Okay, sorry. Um, and that was one of the big drawbacks from the con, but I got to meet so many people, and one of the things that happens after the fact, just like when you work extra before you go to the con, you got to pick up shifts and get back into the mindset that you're at work. So last 2 weeks you haven't heard from me a lot because I've been busting my tail at my job, and picking up some extra hours, doing some teaching at one of my other jobs. So very busy going through. MegaCon was a very emotional con because it was the first one for me after being on lockdown for the pandemic. So it was a lot of emotion seeing my friends and the people that helped keep me sane during the pandemic through online kilocons, or different type of different things where a lot of artists would do things to interact with the fans on there. So I really appreciated that, and to get to see them face to face. Ken Lashley, one of my favorites. Getting to see Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Kana, Frank Thierry. Um, these are just a few of the friends that I've talked to and interact with online, and I've met with them in past conventions. And to see them again and talk to them face to face was a blessing. And I loved to see those people and to see so many like minded people and meeting a lot of people. One of the things I did at the conventions, which something I never did before, is I brought my artwork with me and I actually gave out a lot of cards. So if you were at one of the conventions and you saw me and you got one of the cards from me, I gave them away free and you signed up. Thank you. We did pick up about 20 to 30 new subscribers and people that are following on different sites. So that was nice. And I met some new friends. And that was the biggest thing, is meeting new people and going through. One of the other things I love to do at conventions, and I regret that I didn't do it back in the early days when I started going to conventions, is looking for artwork. Now, I always looked for comics, and this was one of my favorites. Teen Titans has always been one of my favorite groups. I was really into the original Teen Titans, um, and I loved watching them in cartoons because it was the kids. And as a kid growing up, it felt like the sidekicks were me acting like a superhero. And then George Perez, Marv Wolfman went ahead and did something unique. And they had the sidekicks growing up. And as I became a teenager, this book, along with X Men, were two of my top books. This was one of the New Teen Titans that I had signed by George Perez. May he rest in peace. And this is one of my pride of my collections. And I recently sold my entire comic book collection. But as I was looking for my artwork, I remember that these were the things that I put up on my son's wall when he was a kid. When we moved to this house, a lot of those went into storage, and I went into storage to look for some stuff, and I found all of these things. So I still have this, so I'm kind of glad I never sold this one. One of the other things that I also did was getting autographs and original art from them, and the little sketches. And because I was introducing my son to the convention scene, and we would go out. Here's one by Chris Giarusso, and they would do little sketches. This was back when you could get a sketch for cheap or a lot of times free, especially when it was for the kids. But a lot of people ruined that system because they were turning and flipping stuff around. And so a lot of artists would try to put higher prices so that they don't do that. Some worked, some didn't. And I remember my first convention was actually the Kansas City Comic. I think they used to call it the Emerald Comic Con because Kansas City was like Emerald City from, they used the Wizard of Oz reference. And my wife and I had gone up. It was on our first year of marriage, or within our first years of marriage there, and we were in Fort Riley, Kansas. We traveled to Kansas City, Missouri, and the big draw for me, not only was it my first comic book convention, but it was the time that I met John Byrne. And the story that my wife loves to tell is here I was just inundated with so many people in this convention, and so many like-minded individuals. We enjoyed ourselves, and I was just like a kid in a candy store. But when I saw John Byrne, here I was explaining everything to her, and I guess I was mansplaining before it was a term. But I was just so excited. I was sharing with her about my collections and stuff and everything that I saw. But when I met John Byrne and I met him face to face, he said hi, and he said, hi, and all I could say was, Mr. Byrne? and, and my wife did all the talking for me until I could catch my tongue. So it was a very, very funny incident, and she loves to say that story. And I love saying it too because it's just something that would bond. And my wife and I are celebrating 30 years this October of marriage. So she's seen me in all my effort. And here's one of my favorite couples and my favorite people in all. Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti. This is Power Girl #1 that they signed. And what I love about Jimmy and Amanda, as I was saying before, artists used to do sketches. And then when people started flipping their art, they started not giving them, they would charge for pieces and commissions. And then if you wanted something small for a child, let's say, like I would take my son, you would bring a sketchbook, and so that they would do it in the sketchbook and they would personalize it so it's harder to flip. And my son at the time was into SpongeBob, and he said, Jimmy and Amanda were one of the first ones that we went to, and they said, what kind of character would you like? And they were talking to the kids so that the father and the parents don't get the art that they're trying to get for themselves. And my son just goes, SpongeBob. And they looked at each other. They go, well, we do Spider-Man and Batman. And he goes, you sure you want SpongeBob? He goes, yeah, SpongeBob. And so they did it. And in his sketchbook, and I have it somewhere. I have to find that in storage. I'll share that with you one time. But if you look on my Facebook page, I do have some of those pages. We went to every artist, and they did their version of SpongeBob. I think Amanda Connor really blew it out the park. She had such a clean, cartoony style. Jimmy did a great job too. But just Amanda Connor had SpongeBob drinking something, and because he's a sponge, he filled up the whole drawing. And then she added some color on there. So she did a really wonderful job. I think she won overall. Billy Tucci did something. And then a lot of different people that we went to the convention. So that's one of the reasons I love them so much. But every time I've gone to their booth or I've got to see Jimmy and Amanda, Jimmy personally was just always very personable with the guests and the fans, and he would talk to you, not at you. You know what I mean? And he would also listen. And I had the benefit of he came down to do um, a teaching class at one of our comic shops that we do here, and I got to sit down and talk to him. And being that we both were raised in Brooklyn, got to shoot the shit, and we got to know each other. And I always felt like there was a strong bond, and I enjoy that. And so getting to see them and interact with them is just wonderful. It's wonderful, and I really look forward to seeing them. And I was glad I got to see them and get a picture with them. This artwork here I found, I totally forgot about this until I got it out of storage. I don't know who did this. This was a young artist that was in the artist alley and was just starting out at MegaCon many, many years ago. Let's see, my son's 21, so it was when he was 6 when we went to the first. This was one of them when he was 6. So this is a long time ago, and I don't know who the artist is. I couldn't find the signature. If you know this artist, or if you're the artist, please contact me. I would love to get to know a little about you. I love this Spider-Man drawing, and this hung in my son's room for so many years, and I'm glad I kept it. It's one of those that I keep in a frame. My George Perez Batman art for my son. That same year that we did the SpongeBob, I went and I stayed in a line. So this was 2011. And as I stayed in a line to see and meet with George Perez, somebody started handing out raffle tickets. And I had no clue what was going on, but I grabbed the raffle ticket. And all of a sudden, while I'm waiting in line, somebody goes and calls my number. And I say, "Oh, this is mine." They go, "Oh, you won." I said, "Oh, what did I win?" "You won to pay for a sketch from George Perez. He was only doing so many sketches at that show, and so you had to get a raffle ticket. If you won, you got a chance to put in your request." Of course, he was doing the sketches as a fundraiser for um, the Heroes Foundation, which helps comic creators who are needing medical or financial help in some sort, and they get money from this account. And so these are all fundraisers that he did, and he was a big supporter. And so I said, "Okay, what's the amount?" And they said $100. I was like, "Oh, okay, but it's George Perez." So I said, "It's worth it." We go up. George Perez says hi, and I introduce him to my son. My son was wearing a camouflage Batman shirt with a bat signal on it. And George Perez says, "What would you like me to draw?" And he goes, "SpongeBob." He goes, "I could do SpongeBob, but I need a little time, and I'm a little pressed today. How about a Batman? Because I see you with a bat signal." My son says, "Okay." And this is what he got. I think this is tremendous. Um, and it's just looking at it, just seeing all the time, and I was very happy to get to meet and talk with George Perez, and then from that point on, would talk to him and see him at different shows, especially at MegaCon, at Smash Comics, and some of those places like Coliseum and stuff that he would go to because it's local, and then Dragon Con when I started attending, and he was very big at Dragon Con. So this is very special to us. Again, you could see he put it personalized to my son Christopher, which is this is one of his favorites, but Daddy keeps it safe. So these are the ones that I have framed, and then I have a bunch of different prints and things like that. And again, I think I started telling the story and I got sidetracked. I had never, and I got signatures and I got sketches, but I'd never really bought original art. And I started to look through, and one of my biggest regrets is I would look through the artwork of Dick Giordano, of not Marvel, of Dick Giordano, and I would look through the artwork of I think is Martin Nordell, the guy who created Green Lantern. They were at MegaCon every year, and I would look through, and I would look for like splash pages or covers, and those are pretty expensive. But I would look and just pass through all these interior artwork pages that at the time were going for 20, 25, maybe $35 tops. And I said, oh, that's too much. And when you go to a convention, one of the things that you got to remember is to spend, you have to bring money, and you have to learn how to spend it wisely. A hot dog, just a plain hot dog, will cost you $4.50 to $5. And if you want something to drink, you can go into the $20 range for just a single hot dog, hot chips, and soda. So you got to be very wise. This year, I brought my backpack. I had my art. I had my sandwiches. I had my water. I was very prepared this year. But as things have changed, it's less and less. It's more and more expensive, I should say, and less pages being shown as far as original art. But back then, I had the chance to buy some Giordano art where it wasn't a splash page, but it was very wonderful interiors, and he used to ink everybody. So you would find some excellent artwork, interiors with some key characters, and I could have had them for $30, $35, and they're probably worth so much more. But and his passing, with him working on Crisis as an inker, and his status in the industry, I passed up an opportunity I didn't even think I knew. So what I have done is I've kept some art and prints that I've gotten. One of my favorites, and I have an original piece from him, but it's on display at one of my comic shops that I loaned them. I donated so that they can have some artwork to post. And he did an art class at another comic shop called A Comic Shop in Orlando. And he came and did an artwork and how to draw a how-to series while he was here living in Florida with CrossGen. And he did a Wolverine, again, for my son, and my son did some artwork with him, and so did I. And so it was really cool, and I colored it afterwards, so it's hanging in Blackbird Comics and Coffee. It's another comic shop that I frequent, and it's there on display. So this is one of his limited prints that he signed when he was doing the House of Avengers and the Dark Avengers. One of my friends that I helped at his booth and is just tremendous artist is Greg Horn. And this is some of the prints that he sells. JP, a local artist that I met when I went to the Otronicon, that's here in the Science Center of Orlando, and they focus on technology. And JP was doing some things where he was doing the first time using the Wacom and the Cintiq at the time, and they were really showcasing that technology. And he would actually do sketches on the Wacom and show them on his screen at that convention. And then I've been following him since, and he's been doing tremendous work. Bill Sienkiewicz, I really mess up his name all the time, but he is a wonderful artist, and this was one of the prints I got from him at Dragon Con, and I love it. And he does some wonderful work with Daredevil. And this is Carlos Caballero, and he's a local artist that is really a tremendous artist. He does a lot of card work, and just these paintings are just amazing. I gotta show you this. Look at this Wonder Woman painting he did. Another Greg Horn work, the Batman. This is a giveaway that they were giving for one of the conventions where it was DC's Rebirth program, and they had Jim Lee's work on there. So again, Jim Lee artwork, I was going to snag it. And then it has some Titans or new versions of the Titans that I wanted to have. This is the piece by Michael Golden that he had a small challenge at his table. If we could name all of the characters on this, we could win it. And I actually won this. So, a tremendous artist. This guy did so much work for Marvel in the 80s, but he was also the one of the guys that inspired Todd McFarlane's type of work. And then Mike Zeck, who is just, as far as interiors and a cover artist during the 80s and 90s, tremendous. I mean, still, just look at this work. His Punisher, him and John Beatty working together on so many works. This is the Captain America. It was a cover for Captain America number 321. Here's some more work from Carlos. Look at that. Tremendous. Very gifted artist. Likes a lot of, he loves Nightwing, by the way. And this is Bart Sears. Now, I got these prints from a Kickstarter. Jim Starlin did a Kickstarter, and he did it through Bart Sears' publishing group. And so these were the giveaways that they were giving for a project that they did. Keith Williams. Now, a very tremendous artist, but I learned about Keith Williams when he was working with John Byrne. And I am a Byrne victim and a George Perez fan. That's what I used to collect all the time. And I fell into other things after that. Mark Texiera, what a visual and just his art is just, it just grabs you and takes you in right away. And what I love about this one is I think this was at the Infinity Toy Con in Kissimmee, I think it was. This was a print he did where he had the Ghost Rider, which he was very famous for doing. And I found out Jimmy Palmiotti helped him with a lot of work on it. That's how Jimmy got his foot in the door at Marvel. But he did a print of the Ghost Rider with a Nick Cage type face there from when he was the Ghost Rider in the movies. He did a little drawing, like what they call a remark now, on the front and an original drawing on the back. Tremendous. And then I ended up picking up one of these prints too. This is just gorgeous work. At the same convention, I got to meet Jay Lee, and this was his work that he had of one of his prints. I was also, I think I was actually at that convention as a presenter, and this was one of the people that were next to me, the G.I. Joe cosplayers. This was at MegaCon, and one of my favorite artists is Kevin McGuire, and he had a Batman 1966, but he put it in a position where it was like the Justice League, what I call the Bwahaha League cover photo. Han Solo, I went to see that the Solo story that they try to reboot, and I kept they gave this out as a preview. Went with a friend. Kevin Wood, tremendous airbrush artist, just an artist overall, but he did this humongous piece for MegaCon, and he airbrushed it in the MegaCon of Batman versus Superman, the movie, and then he ended up getting to be able to do some work for DC, and this is one of the things that he had. So this was 2018. This was tremendous. The Starfire from the Teen Titans TV show. One of my other friends through the business here is Mark McKenna, artist and Inca extraordinaire. He had worked on so many things during the 80s and 90s. This is his Combat Jacks story about some pumpkins that are from aliens from space, and he ties them into different stories. It's sci-fi horror, and he has some Kickstarters that I backed, and this was one of the original pages I got to get from a Kickstarter. So it's page 1 of Combat Jacks number 3. Tom Derenick, one of the cleanest and just tremendous artists in the field. And from time to time, if you go onto his site, he will open his commissions, and you can get a commission or you can get a original page, and it's really crazy low prices. And I got this Aquaman from number 80, page 2, and it's just tremendous. Look at that. And every time I look at it, I'm going to put these in frames and have them on display, but I need to do some reorganization. But every time I look at it, I watch how he did the line work and some of the scratches he uses with, it looks like either a white gel pen or whiteout, if you can see that detail, to make it look like the water is moving and just causing waves. Is just tremendous. Again, he does it up here. I was very lucky to find this one and get in there, and he'll do some artwork where you'll get to kind of chime in. He'll set a mark, and then you chime in, and the first one who claims it and then sends the payment gets it. So that's pretty cool. Today, I was able to pick up this piece, and this is from Greg Land. So it's Uncanny X-Men 6, page 12, and it has Danger on it. And I had looked at a couple of pieces with Cyclops, but they were outside my range. But Alex Saviuk, I hope I said his name right. He is a tremendous Spider-Man artist, and he was also the lead artist after with Stan Lee on the Spider-Man comic strip. And I got one of these, and this is from April 28th, 2006. So I have that original one from him. And he's local here in Florida, so I get to see him often. And I just got to get more work. I got to get more money so I can get that stuff. Here's another Kickstarter prize that I got from Mark McKenna and Victor Castro. A tremendous artist. And this was a custom piece that I asked for that they did for me. And this was Firefly. Just really good. Victor is a former military, and so I think he's a Marine. And so he really can get into some of those. Did I tell you about Ken Lashley, who is just such a tremendous artist and a good friend? This piece here is just, I picked that up at MegaCon this year. I am in love with it. Look at that detail. That's 11 by 17 and just full done. And this is a print I got when he was here in Florida. I think he went to Claremont for Mace Comics, Mace Windows Comics. Here's another local artist from MegaCon or somebody who's just starting out. I love this piece. Christopher loves Batman and Spider-Man, so we got those. I just recently did. I think I put I put it in a frame because it's oversized, but I got to meet Athena Finger, the granddaughter of Bill Finger, who helped create Batman and made Batman what he is. And so she's getting into artwork. So this was some of the stuff I've collected. What's nice is I get to see some of the progression and some of the people that go through, and I get to get some of the favorite art that goes into it. But one of the things I think was a big thing after the conventions was a lot of people getting sick. And this is not unusual. We used to have what they call con crud. After being in such close spaces, and a lot of people don't always take the proper precautions, you used to get colds or stuff like that. So a lot of people I met were talking about after the convention, especially MegaCon, testing positive for COVID. That's a risk. And so a lot of people will wear masks, and that's a good thing. But you also have to sanitize, wash your hands, because I think the number one way that you get things into your body is when you have stuff on your hands and you touch your eyes and it goes in. So luckily I didn't get sick because I needed to work. So it was good that I didn't get sick. I did use my mask. While towards the end there, my mask broke because I had to walk from one side of the International Drive all the way to the convention center. But I had a mask that broke, and then my second mask, my spare mask, also broke. So I did go bare with no mask. But I watched and kept my distance to make sure that I didn't get close to too many people and who didn't have a mask. So that's it. So I've kind of been talking for about 30 minutes. Thank you for everybody who checked in. And if you're checking in after the fact, please, you already follow. Make sure that you check onto my sites, give me some comments, talk to me, and let me know what you like and what you don't like and what you'd like to see in the future. And please share this with people that you think might be interested. We'll be doing a couple more things. And again, I will pick up some projects here shortly and share with you as we go. So thank you. And next time I'll actually be on camera. Bye-bye.